Hello everyone, David here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Here we go, by popular demand, another hip-hop full-length mixing course, start to finish. I hope you will enjoy and learn a lot from this one too. We're gonna see the processing for each individual tracks, drums, samples, 808, vocals, doubles, effects, both for plugins and all the analog gear, all the settings, but most important, the thought process as to why we do what we do. Part of this mixing course is going to be available for everybody on YouTube, but if you want to see the full course, you can either buy it directly at this email right here, or click the join button down here, become a MixBus TV member, access this and many other mixing and mastering courses. Let's get to it. All right, let's start with an overview of the project. This is a hard-hitting hip-hop track by artists Emir and Face called Lobster. We have an excess of 80 tracks, as you can see here from the mixing view in Pro Tools. We start from the top, we have all the drums, these green tracks here. The dark red one are the 808 and bass. Then we have the samples in purple. We have guitars in blue, pad sounds in dark purple. We have all the strings and violins in orange. We have some printed effects tracks that I created. That's going to be very, very interesting. And then we have one single lead vocal, top to bottom, and then all the vocal effects here, this baby blue tracks, and then two doubles, and then ad-libs in yellows, more effects, printed razors and effects, and then our output groups in black right here, and then our tubas in red. Let's start by listening to the song. The song doesn't have the usual pop-like structure with like verse, chorus, bridge, and then repeat. This song is a crescendo. So it starts with a long intro, almost spoken words, still rap, and then it grows, instruments come in, drums come in, it explodes, and then it goes to the end. So it does have a different structure from your usual top of the pop track. And because of this, the mix also has to follow this arrangement and the structure of the song. And you will see that both automations and effects help and enhance and, I want to say, create this crescendo that goes into the highest energy part of the song, and then it goes to the end. We are not going to see the mastering of the song in this video course. We're going to see the mix, but here I have both the mix and the master, so we're going to quickly listen to the difference. Let's listen to the mix before. I'm going to skip the long intro for now.
I was destined for greatness, but I fucked it up. So now I got this mediocre life. I should just suck it up, right? Just my luck, cause I probably fucking suck. And no one ever told me what is what the fuck is up. I should just see a psychiatrist and be honest with him. But it's probably an inferiority complex, isn't it? Cause I'm often conflicted, always picking the opposite option if a positive outcome is given. Listen, I'm highly resilient to common wisdom. I'll fuck up a comma and sink into poverty with a billion. Honestly, I'm an idiot, and part of the problem was moms and pops arguing and bickering. Now I constantly got my guard up and I'm sick of it. I'm losing all my marbles, I should probably be on Ritalin. Instead I'm popping bottles and I'm hiding from my friends and shit. What I wouldn't do to tomorrow be a kid again. Bitch, I'm still destined for greatness, I'ma fuck shit up. Y'all rappers barely mediocre, man, what the fuck is up? Yeah, suck a nut, bunch of fucking cucks. No one ever told y'all what is what, well, you fucking suck. You think you need a shrink and sit in an office with him so he can concoct some nonsense diagnosis like narcissism? Just cause I picture myself running opposite of Hillary Rodham Clinton and rocking 24 carats with diamonds in them. These artists my offspring, I'm not bonding with them. I'm fucking they mamas with no condom in them, fathering them, having them swallow a couple of bottles of Clonopin. I put a lot of fucking fear of God up in them, not religious. I'm a menace and a monster, getting godless with it. I'm Akhenaten, I'm a shaman with the laws of physics. Listen, y'all don't want to brawl with the god of war. You can have that Mars bar, I'm eating lobster for dinner.
Okay, so we get the idea, and before saying anything, this is the master. I'm just gonna go from where the drum starts.
My friends and shit, what I wouldn't do to tomorrow be a kid again. Bitch, I'm still destined for greatness. I'ma fuck shit up. Y'all rappers barely mediocre, man. What the fuck is up? Yeah, suck a nut. Bunch of fucking cucks. No one ever told y'all what is what. Well, you fucking suck. You think you need a shrink and sit in an office with him so we can concoct some nonsense diagnosis like narcissism? Just cause I picture myself running opposite of Hillary Rodham Clinton and rocking 24 carats with diamonds in them. These artists, my offspring, I'm not bonding with them. I'm fucking they mamas with no condom and I'm fathering them, having them swallow a couple of bottles of Klonopin. I put a lot of fucking fear of God up in them, not religious.
Okay, I'm gonna stop here. Like I said, we're not gonna see the mastering in this video course. Maybe we'll do a separate course later on, but I wanted to show you the difference because as you heard, we gained quite some presence in the mid-range and high mid-range, especially on the snare and the vocals. And I did that on purpose. I left, let's say, this top high mid-range boost for the mastering stage for a specific reason, which again, we'll probably see in another video course. We are gonna see the mixing on this one. And for this mix, there is quite some hardware, especially a lot of analog compressors that we'll see as we go. I want to start this course a little different. I usually go and start from my processing track number 1 and go from there. In this one, I want to take a look first at the routing and the grouping of all the tracks, the audio tracks that we have. This is important and I want to start from here because that's actually how I mix. I take a look at the tracks that I have, I take a quick listen to the rough mix, I solo each track to understand what I have, and from there I start immediately color coding and grouping my tracks. And also, and this comes with experience, so you might not be able to do this right away, but I already know when I start mixing at least 90% of the parallel channels and the effects that I will add. For example, we said that all the green tracks, audio tracks, are our drum. So we see we don't have too many because the drum comes basically only at the end. But let's take a look. We have one main kick here. And for this, I immediately created a parallel kick channel to it, kick X. Both of these go to a kick out. So I sum them and I treat them as one. Then we have two snares and I create immediately a parallel channel compression for the snare as well. In this case, I only sent one, we'll see that later. And then I sum these three channels here and I send them to my snare sum where I have processing. So again, summing all the elements that make an instrument, two snares, audio tracks plus a parallel compression, sum into one channel. We have a snare roll here, a hi-hat, a drum loop, and a build-up drum rhythm. All of these, so the individual drum tracks plus all the sum channel, snare sum and kick out or kick sum, they all go to a drum sum aux. I create this because then I can send it, and I already created even before starting my mix, a drum parallel channel. So you see I have parallel for kick, I have parallel for snare, and I have parallel for the entire drum kit. The parallel are usually compression, but could be saturation, could be both. Then the drum sum and the drum X, so our parallel, go to a drum out. And here is usually where I have my hardware. Every time you see a black track like this one goes to the music group, which is at the bottom next to the mix bus. You see we have, for this song, we have a music out, Vox effects, and all vocals. These all sum and go to the mix bus. Again, I know this is not sexy, but this is something that it's better if you do at the beginning. After the drum, we have our 808 and bass, these three dark red tracks, they all go to bass sum. And then we have our bass X, our parallel, but in this case, I didn't send the bass sum to it, but instead I sent all the individual bass tracks, and I'll explain that later. The bass sum and the bass parallel go to the bass out, another one of our black tracks, they go to the music bus. Same for main samples, these purple tracks. Now the client specifically for the musical instrument, even though it's a completely different genre, Bella's Heartbreak Motel. He wanted that haunting, dark-ish, and very ethereal sound. So because of that, I knew I wanted effects similar of what I use in that mix, and I went on and I already created two sends for effects, a reverb, a big reverb, and a delay, and then of course all these, so the effects and the main samples, sum to the main sample. Out goes to the music bus. Here we have a couple of single track sounds, the synth ARP, distant vocal pad, they go directly to the music bus. I didn't need any parallel or anything like that. For the guitars, these two blue tracks, I did the same that I did for the other instruments, created an effect and sent all of it to a guitar out that goes to the music bus. Same for the pads, already has an effects created. Same for the string, group all of them into the violin group that goes to the music bus. I already created, even before start mixing, a string hall, which in this case I didn't even use. So this is a testimony that I immediately create what I think I'm gonna use, and then if I end up not using it, I just don't use it. All these baby blue tracks here are vocal effects, which I did, and I do this often, especially in hip hop. Instead of sending the lead vocal to an aux, I use audio tracks. I build my effects chain. In this case are 4 different effects chain here, and I cut the audio from the lead vocal and I paste it into the effects, because you will see sometimes I want to time stretch it to just make it a little off compared to the lead vocal. Also have a visual representation of where the effects are. I can take a look. It's easier for automation. As you can see, we have a lot of automation in this mix, and all the effects go to the vocal effects out, one of the black groups at the bottom. Then we have our lead vocal, one performance, top to bottom, this red track here with all the automation, all the effects, all the vocal effects in send, so doubles, short, long reverbs, long and short delays, throws, and special effects. Then we have 2 doubles left and right for vocals, these dark red. And again, you see I created 3 effects which I didn't end up using. I instead share the effect that I used for the lead vocal. We'll see that later. The 2 doubles are grouped together and I treat them as one. We'll see that in a minute as well. The yellow tracks are ad-libs. I didn't use these effects that I created. And then we have some printed sounds from the producer, risers, and effects. Output groups, as we said, and mix bus. And this was our grouping and routing. We can now go and start taking a look at the processing. Now, one note, because this song is a crescendo and we have a long intro, almost, I want to say, a little more than half song with no drums, I didn't start mixing this track from the beginning. I started mixing from the high energy part, when the drums and all the vocals and all the effects and sounds are in. Now, I want to give a warning, because I still think that this is the best way to mix a song like that, and I'll explain why in a minute. But at the same time, for people who are at the beginning, it might be a double-edged sword, because when you have experience, it's easier to start from the part that has the most energy and all the elements are in, because I set my saturation, my 2-bus compression, whatever I want on the 2-bus with those levels. Especially an aggressive track like that, I need to understand from the get-go how much I can push everything, the mix, my hardware, all the processing that is going to happen in that high energy moment, where I'm not worried about that at the beginning, because we have less signal, less instruments, less elements. So it's just going to be a matter of taking things away, which is much easier than adding. And if you start and push things when you have barely anything in the mix, where all the other elements come in, you're going to be in the red, you're going to be too saturated, you're going to compress in too much. At the same time though, you need to be able to imagine the energy going from low to high, mixing wise. The producer already did his job. Now it's your job to enhance that. You need to pay attention, because it's not that easy to go back from the high energy, all right? Because you still have to keep the listener interested at the beginning. It's actually a lot harder to hold the listener attention with a very long intro. That's why modern music has almost no intro, and many songs starts from the chorus, even if it's half length, okay? So it can be a double-edged sword, but this is how I started this mix, from this part here where drums, and all the sounds are in. If you're on YouTube and the video stops here, thank you for watching. If you want to see the full course and many other mix and mastering courses, click the join button down here, become a MixFest TV member, or write to this email and buy the courses individually based on what genre you're interested in. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe. See you next time.